My beautified princess.
I barely did any research before picking up They Always Run. The gorgeous aesthetics I saw in the trailer were enough for me to give it a try, and I can safely say I was not disappointed. This game definitely has a few flaws, but it contains significantly more positives. But to best decide if this is a game for you, let's get into my thoughts on They Always Run. This is actually the first game I played in a while where I did care for the story. You play as Aiden, who is a 3-armed bounty hunter that hunts down the most dangerous criminals in the galaxy. Along the way, you'll befriend some unusual but interesting allies who aid you on your journeys. I don't want to spoil the entire story, but it does become more complex than jumping mission to mission. The who's and whys aren't answered off the jump, so this helps build anticipation as you become curious to understand the motives and background of Aiden. The story wasn't anything miraculous, but the characters were a lot of fun and carried some humor. The NPCs fit the space cowboy environment, and because there's so much room for creativity in this setting, there are a variety of species you will find in the hubs. But it was clear the developers began copy-pasting a lot of the models. I don't find this to be too much of an issue, but it definitely became noticeable. However, some settings did offer unique characters and enemies that helped build my next point of interest, the atmosphere. This game has some of the most aesthetically pleasing graphics I've ever seen. I'd be very curious to see the process of creating this, as it seems to be hand-drawn. You'll find yourself traveling to a variety of planets, each with a unique setting and song. Although the backdrops were full of amazing visuals, the forefronts didn't offer much variety. A lot of the platforming elements blended level to level. Most of the doors were the same. The enemies consisted of mainly just the Imperials, although they did always have a reason to be in the locations they were at. As someone who loves being immersed within a game, They Always Run doesn't provide a lot of the small details that create this experience, but it does offer some amazing music and visuals. Going to Gigapolis was a great experience, as I felt I was becoming a part of something larger. And I felt this way because of the long elevator ride to the top of the city. Something this reminded me of was the Mandalorian. You begin as purely a bounty hunter, the story then expands, and your purpose develops. The developers did a great job slowly expanding the world around you, and they built Aiden to act as most would assume a bounty hunter would, cocky and full of pride. But he also displays this through his movement, such as the way he walks. It makes you feel like you're truly playing as a badass, which makes you even more in tune with the character. And just because there aren't small details in every level, that doesn't mean it isn't immersive. I really like the widescreen panning. It happens occasionally when you zipline or enter a large area. It creates perspective and displays how small you are in a large world. The setting is expansive and full of potential, but where the game really shines is within its gameplay. I remember watching the trailer and trying to comprehend how the gameplay mechanics would work. Well, turns out it actually isn't too complex, at least not after the 3rd level. I definitely struggled to have an automatic response for the first 2, as I kept learning new abilities early in the game, so I never got the time to just master one aspect of it. This isn't a bad thing, as with practice comes perfection. I surely never found perfection during my playthrough, but I did enjoy the various methods I could defeat enemies with, whether it be spraying bullets at the unlucky Imperials, slashing my way through an army of shielded enemies, or sending people flying with my 3rd arm. The combat felt fluid, and the animations flow with your attacks. It's unfortunate that there isn't much enemy variety. I think they could have benefited from other options, such as a gunman who can also attack you up close. The combat is a lot of fun, so that would have made it even more engaging. As you slash your way through enemies, you have the defensive options to roll or counter incoming projectiles or attacks. The counter window is very small, so you must be precise. I found myself playing it safe and choosing to roll more often than not. The fluidity of the combat does its job and makes you feel like the bounty hunter that you are, but with this combat comes some not so special platforming. Sometimes when you jump, there seems to be a sort of delay, and Aiden can be quite floaty, which makes it difficult to land precisely. As I mentioned earlier, the platforming elements don't vary too much. They consist of dodging electric wires, hopping from fence to fence, or jumping from one stage to another. The bulk of this did become repetitive because it didn't offer much challenge. But there are scenarios where you find yourself in a fight against time, such as when you have to outrun the drill or drop quicker than the elevator. These fast-paced sequences are a good change of pace and offer a greater platforming challenge. Despite the floatiness and occasional lag of Aiden, I still felt like I was doing some intense parkour, which I believe is what the developers were going for. The progression system is simple, and I think that's all it needed. You can upgrade your abilities, purchase extra slots for arm strength, buy ammo, and some more. It's pretty easy to collect cash on your journeys, whether it be through slaying enemies or finding chests. The exploration was pretty easy and didn't offer too much. I found myself ignoring a lot of them when I realized it would probably just be $100. However, if the chests seemed more hidden than usual, then I would go out of my way, as you're more likely to find a health upgrade. Another way to collect cash is by killing high bounty targets. At first, I thought this was a great mechanic, but as it turns out, the targets would be nothing more than just a basic enemy with a name. And because finding cash is so easy, it isn't much of a necessary feature, but the concept for it is a lot of fun. Overall, the gameplay is quite entertaining and definitely offers a unique experience. The boss fights, however, offered a different type of challenge. I love putting bosses in their own category. They deserve it because it's one of the aspects of the game that keeps you intrigued. They Always Run has a variety of different types of bosses you face, and some are definitely unexpected. There isn't much build-up as you make your way to fight them, you just hope that you do, because unfortunately, not every level has a boss, and because there is no overworld, you are unable to replay a level. Although I do think this is more consistent with what the game is trying to accomplish, a story that seamlessly progresses. So, after beating a few levels, I found myself disappointed with the ending of a lot of them, and this is because they would tease a fight throughout the level, and then you wouldn't get it. When you catch up to Sam, he just captures you, end of level. When you go to retrieve the staff, you just take it, end of level. When you get to Mueller for the first time, you get beat up, end of level. It seems like the boss ideas were there, but they never fully made them. The ones that you do fight, however, are not easy, minus the director's bodyguard, but the challenge is probably their biggest positive. One fight I did enjoy was Smiley's. Fighting an intelligent hammerhead in a tank with controlled lasers is creative in itself. Along with the creativity, the enjoyment also came from the difficulty, because the gameplay here is a bit clunky at times. It's unfortunate there aren't too many bosses in the game, as there is a lot of opportunity to add them, but the ones you do fight put up a challenge and offer a nice change of pace in the combat. They Always Run has you jumping planet to planet in search for bounties or answers. The combat and beautiful backdrops keep you immersed in the experience, but it has its faults with the bland platforming elements, minimal boss fights, and the occasional lag. However, if you're looking for a game with fluid combat, great music, a unique art style, and a challenging but fair experience, then I recommend checking out They Always Run. I hope you all have a better understanding on whether this is a game for you. I'm always looking to play and cover new indie games. I currently play most titles on the Nintendo Switch, but I've recently also been checking out Steam, so I'd love any recommendations on that. I'd also like to hear some of your thoughts on They Always Run in the comments below. I'll keep posting content like this weekly, so until next time, peace out.